Cool. I'm live. Oh, shit. Of course, I put this right under something that I can't lift with two fingers. Genius. Oh, whatever. Hey, everybody. Joys of Sorrow. Welcome to the Joys of Sorrow channel. Been a little bit of a minute since I've had a stream. So, well, you know what? You guys can see this big baby right here. Let's get that out of the way for a second here. Oh, you can also see this little guy here. Let's get that out of the way for a second there. These here. All right. So the holidays are coming again. Let's start with the intro again. How's it going, everybody? Joys of Sorrow. Now that I got people coming in, I got about 4 of you here. Hello, hello. But all right. So the holidays are coming up, guys. Holidays mean spend for the many of us, especially for me. You know, I got nephews. I got my son. I've got family. I've got friends. So first, like, hey, Tommy. Hey, thanks, man. So I've been doing a lot of shopping lately for knives. You guys don't know by now, I do like knives. My favorite knife is the kukri. And you guys already know this knife, or should know about this knife. This is the 3-Cheer Beast from GK & Co. This is the first, this is the second Nepalese kukri that I bought. The first one was a little touristy Biltong kukri, which I still like it. It was only $25. But then I went and upgraded to this one. Both are made by GK & Co. and they're great. Now, when I did go to get my third kukri, I made a mistake. And that mistake was going with another company. Now, there are other companies that make the kukris out there in Nepal. One that I should have gone with that would be more popular would be KM and Kukri or Himalayan Imports. But I decided to go with Ex-Gurkha Kukri House, or EGKH. And I got their mini 8-inch blade. Afghan issued kukri, or Afghan style issued kukri, and I had a lot of problems with it, and I'm going to make a separate video on this. And big issue I had with this is, if you guys look at the edge, I worked very hard to try and actually get an edge on this fucking blade, because it did not come with an edge. Another issue it had is the edge had a very strange grind in it. To the point where, actually, you can kind of see it right here a little bit on that line. You see how the line kind of starts curving up just a little bit upward? Yeah, that was not ground down correctly. Again, this is the Ex-Gurkha Kukri House 8-inch blade one. The handle is not symmetrical to the actual tang. You can actually see it's a very small lip, maybe about 1 millimeter or 2. But it's there. And I noticed at first that the edge I had a hard time retaining an edge on it, but I've actually filed it down quite a bit of it, trying to sharpen it. I'd probably say I at least gone down 1/5, if not 1/6 of an inch, in how much blade there used to be on this. But I was finally able to get a working edge on this. But at $53 and change, when I can get a GK & Co. for around that price or even lower of the same length blade or bigger, it's a lot. Needless to say, I'm not going to go with, I'm not buying Ex-Gurkha Kukri House direct knives anymore for any reason. I just don't trust them. And that's where I get down to the whole Christmas thing. So I'm a knife guy, and I decided, well, you know, I got 2 nephews. One of them is finally a teenager. The other one is, you know, already an adult. And I've gotten the older one knives here and there. He's gotten pocket knives from me. Last year for Christmas, I got him the Cold Steel Katana. I kind of regret buying that for him. I bought it more as a looking cool kind of thing. But when I actually got to handle it and everything, it was very impractical. And I like cold steel knives, guys. Look, I mean, here's a cold steel knife that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, as this is one of the gifts that I'm going to be giving out. I'm not going to say to which person, but I love cold steel knives. But the cold steel katana, the new version, the handles suck. When you I didn't strike anything with it, but the way the handle feels, you know that if you hit something with that machete, you will feel it in that handle. And it's obviously I wasn't wrong, because there's a lot of complaints online that you hear about that. So instead, I decided, well, I'm going to share my love of kukris with my oldest nephew. Unfortunately, my younger nephew uh, doesn't seem to really be into the big kukri scene. But that's okay. He likes more of like the Tanto style knives, katanas. You know, at his age, he's just a teenager. Um, I can understand. So this is what I got in the mail from Amazon today, and this is another GK and Co. kukri. Oh, let me wind's starting to pick up a little bit, guys. Guys, sorry for the lighting. For those of you who don't know, there is two big fires right now in the near the LA and Ventura County area. The Woolsey fire. I keep forgetting what the other fire is. Well, guess what, guys? Those fires are within about 3 to 5 miles near me, so it's not as bad as it was earlier. Earlier today, I was breathing ash all fucking morning. The place looked like ash. The cars are covered in ash. We had a forecast. It looked like we thought it was just really cloudy, and no, it's all the ash and the smoke from the fires. Hey, how's it going, H7? Hey, Simon, or Simmons, sorry. Tommy, hello again. But let's get back to the knife. So I ordered another GK & Co. kukri. Now this one is a beauty, guys. This thing is amazing. I don't want to put my fingerprints on this thing because, again, this is going to be a gift. But check this out, guys. This is a GK & Co. standard issue Nepalese, Gurkha Army Service kukri. Now, there are two different versions. There's the traditional version and the gripper version. This is the gripper version that I'm holding. You can tell from the obvious shaping and configuration of the handle. The handle is a beautiful buffalo or water buffalo horn. It is a rat tail tang, so the rat tail tang is right here in the back. The blade is about 10 and a half, just slightly a little over 10 and a half inches. It's made out of the same material as the other knives I have. They are 5160 spring steel. These are usually made from car springs or Jeep springs from Mercedes Benzes out from India and Europe and whatnot. But guys, this thing is just fucking beautiful. It's really well polished. It's a lot nicer polished than any of the blades that I have, with the exception of the small biltong. I'm not really into brass or gold accents, but they do look nice on this blade. The horn, I mean, a lot of people do say, and I'm not gonna lie, it's very smooth. There is no texture to it. However, thanks to the grip points, I do feel that you have a comfortable grip with it. So now, I'm not doing any chopping tests with this. GK & Co. has yet to fail me. I am going to go ahead and trust them on this one. The blade is much more perfect than any of the ones I've ordered off the bat, straight out. But again, there will always be some minor imperfections on any of these blades. One example is, for example, the brass has some dirty spots here and there. That is nothing. I can clean that up with some Brasso. The horn has minor tooling scratches on it. I do have an issue here because I don't know how to take care of a horn handle. So I am going to have to do my homework and look up videos or look in online forums to see if there's any special maintenance or care for these type of handles. I'm assuming so, because if you're not careful with these, uh, if you're not really careful with these, they can start to crack. Um, who is that? I think I saw some new people coming in. Hey, Rick. How's it going, man? My dad had a pair of the same style knives with ivory handles through the blade because my mate sliced through the hand tendon with one. Hair conditioner for the horn handles. Huh, okay. I mean, yeah, if it's one legit one like this from Nepal, as you can see, man, this is pretty thick. I honestly wish I had something. Let's see if I have any coins or anything like that. I mean, well, here, how about this? There's your standard master key right here for any standard bolt. You know, there's the key. There's the thickness of the blade. You know, again, it's a pretty thick blade. To try to give you guys a bit of a real world size comparison. See, all the streamers ignore my presence. I said hey, H7. The hell? I said hey. So there's a lot of oil on this. That's hence the shininess on it. Almost a half-inch thick. Almost. Definitely 3/8, a little more. But aside from that, the blade, the knife is perfect. The only real imperfection I seen in this one here is the sheath. The sheath is a little dry. It has a little bit of pitting on it. The back part is starting to stretch where they seam it together. But I do know how to fix that now. Thanks to the Gurkha Kukri House one. This one was also really bad as well. But I was able to use, where is it? Kiwi conditioning oil. This is for leather. And I would basically remove this piece here, rub generously as much as possible on this every 2-3 weeks, leave it out in the sun so that the leather kind of loosens and opens its pores, and then I'll go ahead and rub another coat of conditioner on it, let it sit in the sun again, and then be done for the day. That's also how I was able to find out another thing that I have to complain about these Gurkha Kukri House blades is the straps here, as you notice, is a light color. This color was the same color that was on the rest of the sheath. Now, because the conditioner has this effect where it darkens the leather, I was able to tell what was actual real leather and what wasn't. So you can tell that this back area right here, this strap, is a pleather, not a real leather of any kind. I've already scratched off areas of it with sandpaper and steel wool to try to get whatever possible coating it could have into it, but it has no effect on it. Again, that is why I will no longer go with Gurkha Kukri House blades. But again, guys, sorry about that. That's a story for another day. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hey, Enlighten, thanks for subbing, man. Go ahead and just probably fix this up a little bit. Now, I will admit the Chakmak and the Kami, which are the sharpening stone or the sharpening tool, and the small knife, are also made with buffalo horn handles. Very nice blades, though. Kind of caught me off guard because the blades are a little stained, but they do not have any rust in it whatsoever. Just light staining. Now, again, guys, with these kukris, you have the chakmak, which is this one right here. It has no edge on it. It is shaped like a knife, but it is not a knife. This is for honing purposes. This is so you can get that edge back on your blade. The kama or kami, can't remember 100% what this is called. This has an actual edge on it, and this would be for small tasks and processing. Now I'll put those to the side. I'm also going to put the blade to the side here. I'm going to start polishing that in just a little bit. Uh, so aside from those items, I also got this Cold Steel GI Tanto. Listening to John, ignoring the people in chat. So now, this is actually a nice little knife. I've never personally owned one, but I've got to say I've sold plenty of these when I worked at the hobby shop. They were a lot more affordable back then. I mean, 30 bucks, 32 bucks is not that bad of a price to pay for this knife. It really isn't. But I mean, things have gone up, and it has been almost more than half a decade since I've sold these things. So let me go ahead and show you guys this. This is going to be a gift from one of the nephews. But let's say you guys are looking for a simple, basic camping knife. You're on a bit of a budget. You don't want to spend, let's say, more than 40 bucks. And, you know, you want something that'll last you. This Cold Steel GI Tanto are the best choice. They're actually made from a really good, I think it was 1085, I'm not 100% sure. No, this is 1055 carbon, and they are actually 4 millimeters thick, so they're almost twice as thick as your average machete. Blade is about 5 3/4. Well, the blade itself is about 7 inches long. The actual edge on the blade is about 5 3/4, maybe a little bit more. Let me give you guys a view of the blade. I love that style of tip, guys. These are the American style Tanto tip. They are great for piercing. Really, really great. On here on YouTube, Cold Steel, the company that makes these, which is located in Ventura, California, has a YouTube page. You can see some pretty great examples of what this knife can, you know, handle. They are made in China. Some of the knives in Cold Steel are made overseas, but I'll tell you, for a China knife, I have sold maybe more than 100 of these when I was a retailer, and I never had one come back. Okay, I've never had one come back because it was defective or it was broken, you know, in a way that could prove that it was defective. The only time I've ever had knives like these come back, main reason was people wanted to sharpen them. You know, they go out, they use them. Very popular back, you know, a while back, to start cutting things like milk jugs and soda bottles and things like that. Shave your beard to see if it's sharp. Hey, Jim, how's it going? Jim, you know what? I wouldn't mind proving it that way. That's actually not a bad way to prove to something sharp or not. However, these are going to be Christmas presents. So the last thing I think anybody would want to, you know, to see when they're opening their Christmas present is something that looks like a facial pubic hair. All right, so, and I don't need them mistaking it for something else. But, you know, I'm probably going to end up buying one of these knives for myself and testing it out for myself. And you know what, Jim? When I do that, then I will, you know, I'll shave either my arm or a part of my face with one of these just to show you guys that these are pretty good knives. Obviously, that is to protect the tip right there when it goes back inside the box. The sheath that comes with it is also the nice part. I'll tell you guys, this alone is worth 20 bucks. It's a Secure X sheath. It has a felt strap on it, but you can get adapters so that you can use a plastic snap-on belt clip, molly clip, so that you can actually wear it sideways. You know, wear it sideways either on your back or your front. There's a lot of ways you could actually equip and carry this knife with you. But again, this is going to be a Christmas present. Not really too much I can do with it to show you guys what, you know, what it's really capable of. No, Tommy, but you know what? Let me ask you something. If you saw a small curly hair inside of a package that you just opened, are you really going to think it's facial hair, or are you going to think it's pubic hair? I'm not going to bullshit nobody. I'm going to think it's pubic hair. So, all right. Go ahead and put this back in the bubble wrap. No, I'm not. Man, it's winter, man. The winter is the one time that we can be proud not to shave. Though, you know, those of us who are, you know, bearers of the majestic beard. Let's here. Okay. And then the only other thing I ordered, and this is the only thing that I actually ordered for myself, is this. Very simple, flip around, sharpening steel. I used it to touch up the chalk mark here. What's your opinion on ceramic knives, Joyce? Give me a second. I'll address that in a sec. I'll address that. The grit is 400 on one side, 600 on the other. I actually needed this really badly. One thing about sharpening either kukris or basically any knife with what's called a recurve is for example. You know what? Let me get the sharpening block. There it is. Okay. Here's a four-sided sharpening block that I use to sharpen knives. Okay. Side is 200, 300, 400, and then 600. Okay. Now you've got about almost a 3-4 inch diameter width here, where if you see on these knives with the curves on it, that can be a problem because when you try to sharpen with it, there's going to be a gap. Look, you can see right there. You see that gap in the center? That when you start, stroping with the knife, you're not going to sharpen that area with the gap. And it's going to cause an uneven edge. And it could frustrate you. So the beauty of this thing is it's a lot smaller. I mean, it's a lot more narrower. So, almost, 1/3 of the size of this, I can much more easily just touch up the edge on the kukri. It'll make full contact on it, and it'll actually give it a real nice, sharp, almost scalpel-like edge. Especially if you use a 600 grit, and if you do it just right. And yeah, I do need to be careful with this because the only flaw that I've found with the system is because the handle is plastic, this will start to move back and forth. Actually, the board that it's on, or the piece that it's on right here, is also plastic. So yeah, I do have to be a little bit careful with it, but this was $6. So yeah, Rick, but you know what? There's actually a lot of people who strop knives. Well, here's the thing. Another thing too, for hunting, your skinning knife, you need to strop your skinning knife. That is definitely important. Show us your cuts. All right. Now, Rick asked my opinion on ceramic knives. I don't like them. Main reason I don't like them is reuse. The problem with a ceramic knife is if you drop it on a hard surface and it cracks, you can't really sharpen the knife to the way where you can recover the edge completely. That little crack or nick in a ceramic blade, you can sharpen over it, but you'll always have that, and it can be something where it can catch or interrupt as you're cutting through something. So that's one of the main things that I dislike about ceramic blades. There's debate about, yes, they're fine for food. They're fine for like little paring knives, for processing fish. They are not tough. They are brittle. They can break. They can break apart. There are some ceramic knives that are better than others, but the rule's still the same. The ceramic is still kind of a brittle material, and it's not like metal where you can keep ceramic hard, at one point. Like, for example, the kukris. Kukris have 3 levels of hardness in them. The edge has the hardest point, usually between 57 and 60 on the HC scale. The middle is usually around the 40s to high 30s, and then the back is soft, and usually in the 23s to 26 HC hardness level scale. But there's a reason for that, and it all comes back to this. Now, there's a big misconception that this is a blood group situation, or something for the blood to drip off when you're cutting into somebody. There's also something that discusses that this actually is a symbol of family or the area where these are made. There is some credibility to that, but the main thing that this acts is as a hinge. So because you have a hard metal here, semi-soft and softer here, this acts like a hinge to take the force when you're chopping hard into something hard. Okay, I think I just missed a question here from Rick. Is that the blood catcher? Can you buy double-edged SAS knives in U.S.? There's no reason you can't buy a double-edged SAS knives, as long as I mean, maybe the official issued one, you might not be able to buy. For example, a U.S. citizen, whether guns are legal. Even if you lived in Texas, you're not going to buy a straight out Colt M4 straight off the factory from a military model straight from them. In some countries, they when they adopt something for the military, it becomes exclusively for them. But most of those companies will also, for example, K-Bar. K-Bar makes knives for the military, but they also make knives that they sell to the public. And what they do is they basically replicate the knife that they sell for the military and just market it as something else. So here's the thing: if you're looking for like the original SAS boot knife and you cannot find an original, check with the company that makes them to see if they make one similar to it, because 9 out of 10 times it'll be the same fucking knife, but it'll have a small detail here or there taken away so that they don't violate whatever rules and agreement or treaty they have with whatever military they're a part of, and so on and so forth. Yeah, they did. They still do. But again, like for example, their K-Bar sells their knives also to the public. They are illegal in the UK. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. I don't see any reason why they would be illegal in the US. I mean, if it's a ballistic knife, then it comes under Class 3 or Class 7 device, which means it would have to be registered to the federal government. Which, yeah, doesn't mean you can't have it, but you'd go through a shit ton of red tape and shit ton of money and fees and stuff to own it. And believe me, to own a Class 3 firearm, you're looking at spending the lowest, things like $5,500, and the highest is about $12,000 to $15,000. Do you really want to go through all that for a pocket knife? Nobody, maybe not. But again, if it's a ballistic knife, that would be the only case for that. Okay, so now, as far as giving knives for the holidays, guys, it's not a bad idea. It really isn't. But there are some things that I'm going to recommend you watch out for when you give a knife away. Price is one of them. Okay? 7 out of 10 of the knives that I sold as, a salesman for the hobby shop where we sold knives and swords and airsoft guns were junk. Even some of the expensive stuff were fucking junk. So you do want to use price a little bit as a guide point. Now, that's not to say that you can't find a good deal somewhere. A good example of a good deal are the new Cold Steel, or they're not that new. They've actually been around for more than 5 years. The Cold Steel Light series of knives, like the Tanto Light that I have, the Outdoorsman Light, the Roach Belly, the Pendleton Hunter. Those are all really nice knives. They make them out of the 4116 Krupp stainless steel, which is a really good stainless steel, and they start at about $20 on Amazon. For the smaller knives like the Pendleton Hunter and the Roach Belly, I know the Roach Belly starts for about $11 on Amazon. Pendleton Hunter goes for about $12 to $14. Those have small blades. Usually, I think they're about 5 inches or less. The Tanto and the Outdoorsman Light are going right now for $19.99 on Amazon. Those would be my recommendations for a good and cheap knife to give away as a Christmas gift for a family, for camping purposes, processing purposes. If they're a collector, especially if they're a collector. Cold Steel is a very popular name. It's a very well-known name in the knife and the sword industry. Even if it's not the most expensive cold steel knife, it could be their first cold steel knife, and you've just set them on the right path. You know. Uh, oh, it's not that smoky right now. This morning was really fucking smoky, Jim. To the point where I was breathing ash. Last night too was hectic. Last night was pretty bad because last night they just evacuated people from the hill. So, all right. And then let's see. What else can I probably say? If you guys can do research on the knives before you go out and buy them, that would help. Sometimes I do understand that sometimes that can be an issue, especially if you're not familiar with the nomenclature. Recently, too, the nomenclature has actually changed. For a lot of knives, there's a lot of this like CR3 letter dot stainless, this letter number dot letter something stainless. The Chinese, because they've been the predominant knife makers, even though most of the knives were shit back in the day, have actually been learning from what they've been doing, and just like Spyderco did during the late 80s and 90s, the Chinese have actually been experimenting with metals and coming up with new mixtures for metals before where they didn't have that. And for example, 2CR13K or C is basically a 420J stainless steel with slightly more carbon in it and a little bit more vanadium and some other metal that could give it a little bit more rust protection. But yeah, do your research a little bit on the metals. Metals that I recommend, for example, 440 stainless, 440C stainless is actually not a bad metal. If it's going to be for a knife that's about 5 inches, maybe 6 inches or less, 440C stainless is good. If it's for somebody that's living near the ocean or an area where there's a lot of humidity or salt in the air, stainless steel blades are good. Stay away from 420 and 420J stainless. They do have very good anti-rust properties, but they cannot hold an edge for shit. So if you give anybody a 420J stainless knife, a good example is those buck knives, the cheap buck knives that you get at Walmart. Most of those will be 420J stainless steel. So stay away from the bucks that are like less than $40, and just make sure that you can try to see what kind of steel it is. If it's a 440C, again, not so bad. If you are getting a blade 6 inches or under, any bigger than that, it's not going to be well. 4116 Krupp steel is another good steel to get. AUS 8 stainless is good. Hard carbon steels are also great. Hybrid carbon steels are kind of what you want to shoot for. However, remember, most carbon steel blades, if they don't have a protective coating, can and will rust eventually. So if for carbon steel blades, be wary who you give those to. For example, the Cold Steel GI Tanto is a carbon steel blade, but it has that baked on powder coating black protection on it. So I'm not worried about that for the nephew. Now, obviously, something like this is polished, but it's not protected. This would obviously is going to somebody older, somebody more mature who will take care of it. So that is another thing to consider, who you're giving these to and what level of expertise do they have with knives. Let me see. What would be the best knife for Zane to clean under his fingernails? Pocket knife would be the best one. Can you recommend a decent butter knife for even butter distribution? No, I cannot. First off, why are you using a butter knife? You have fingers. Use your fingers. You don't need the knife. It's just butter. It's not going to hurt you, Rick. Okay? It's not going to hurt you, man. Anyways, guys. Alright, so let's see. Other metals to probably stay away from. You know what? Not metals. Let's go this way. Places of origin to stay away from as far as knives. First, number one, Pakistan. Any fucking knife This is made in Pakistan. Walk away. They are shit. Every knife from Pakistan that I have handled is shit. They are fucking garbage. They are just wall hangers. They are not meant for actual practical use. Second would be India. A lot of the shit that comes out of India is really touristy crap. It's not real quality knives of any kind. Even the kukris that come from India, from northern India, are not great. Their Nepalese counterparts are 10,000 times better than their Indian counterparts. So India is one to look to be really wary about. If it's made like in Indonesia or something, you should be wary. But at the same time, it could be a handmade item, so you could be missing out on an opportunity. So that would have any. Do you have any more? Hold on a second, I'll answer that. Sure enough, you brought up something good. I'm gonna bring that up in a minute. So let's see, what's another country to bring up? Those are pretty much it. Pakistan, India, like the Indonesian island stuff. You want to avoid that. Philippines. The Philippines stuff is. I had one or two decent things come out of the Philippines that I've sold, but most of it's garbage. Avoid stuff from the Philippines. Okay. They make decent guns. They make actually, oddly enough, the Philippines makes the most 1911s than any other country in the world. And they make them good. They make good 1911s. But knives, no, they don't. Their knives suck. I'm sorry, guys. You stick to your commie sticks. And your the 1911s. You're doing good with the 1911s. Just not the knives. Now, Shonef mentioned Mora knives. Mora knives are actually a good choice for first timers, for people who need a knife for fishing, a knife for the ocean, a processing knife for hunting. They're very affordable. I think you can get them. I remember right. I think you get them more for $12 in some cases, maybe 10 if it's on sale. So yeah, Shonef, thanks for mentioning that. I would recommend a Mora knife. Now, you got to be careful though with the metals. Now, usually the more affordable Moras are made out of stainless. The carbons will cost you more money. However, the carbons sometimes do not have protective coatings. So it goes back again to the expertise and experience of the person you're going to give it to. If it's a brand new person who doesn't really know too much about knives, or you feel that they're not going to be responsible with it, try to stick with stainless steel or a protected coated carbon steel. If they are, survivalist kind of knife expert kind of person, or intermediate at least, then go ahead and shoot for the carbon steel and stuff like that. Knives to avoid. Anything multi-bladed. Guys, these are just wall hangers. I'm pretty sure you've seen them before. It's like they look like fucking fidget spinners, and they have a knife going one way and a knife going one way and a knife going one way, and people claim that you can fucking throw them. No, they are not throwing. They're not folding throwing knives. There's no such thing as a fucking folding throwing knife, guys. You can just throw a knife if you really need to do that. Just throw the knife. But do not buy those stupid multi-bladed knives unless you're buying it as a wall hanger or for artistic purpose. There is such a thing as bladed art or blade art or sword art. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, we've had some really crazy shit at the shop where I worked at. We had this thing that looked like a fucking spider, and then on all its fucking feet, it had fucking 5-inch blades at every fucking end of it, and then the teeth had like, two little fucking mini X-Acto, like the curved X-Acto knife blade on it. I think it's stupid. Some people like that shit. I don't. It's not practical. So again, if you're giving it as an artsy thing and they're into that, fine. But I don't recommend it. Usually too, these things tend to be expensive for no fucking good reason. None of these are actual practical items that you can use, or the person you're going to give them to, they are going to be actually using them. Antique knives. There is a bad fucking issue with fake antiques in the knife market. So just I'd rather you avoid them altogether, especially if you're not a big knife person. Even for someone like myself, I would not go into buying antique knives because even though I like certain, knives, and I might know a little bit about the knife to go shopping for the antique version of it, I don't trust myself enough to be real, uh, you know, thoroughly knowledgeable on that kind of stuff. And uh, for that, you should find someone professional, someone trustworthy that could help you, or a reputable shop that sells antique knives that you've looked up online that has a lot of good reviews. Um, but avoid antique knives if you can. Again, unless you know somebody, you know what you're looking for, or you know somebody that knows what they're looking for. Let's see. There is such a thing as spending too little, and such a little thing as spending too much for a decent knife. Again, Cold Steel is a good example of good quality knives you could pick up. Again, the Roach Belly is going for about $10 right now on Amazon. Um, the light series knives, the nicest ones, the biggest ones, started about $20. Rule of thumb for something of a hand carry knife, anywhere between gift giving, $20, 30, $20 to $40. You could get away with getting a decent knife at that amount. A good knife, good knife, like for example a K-bar, you're going within that $40 to $65 range. K-bars usually start around $60. I've seen them sometimes as low as 55, maybe a little slightly lower, but that's it. Now K-bar actually makes a kukri, and the K-bar kukri goes for cheap. I think they're for $48 right now on Amazon. For anybody looking for a modernized kukri, that would be the way to go. And for you Resident Evil fans, because I won't lie, for those of you who don't know this knife, it is, yes, the kukri is the Resident Evil knife. The ones that they used in Resident Evil Extinction. Alright, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, as I was saying, for that movie Resident Evil Extinction, the kukris that she uses in the movie are actually made by a company called Ontario Knife Company. They also make knives for the U.S. military and for the Canadian military, I believe. But those start at about $49.99. So if you like the idea of the kukri, but you don't want something so heavy or so, imperfect looking, you can always go with that. So, let's see, what else can I cover? I mean, I guess right now, like, as far as knives for Christmas goes, you guys got any questions? Now would be the time to pretty much start asking. I mean, I've answered a few of you guys' questions. Yes, Rick, do not buy an alarm clock for any member of ISIS. I completely agree with that. Completely. So, but again, I'll open this up for questions now. If you guys like to ask any questions in regards to knives, giving away knives, here I am. So, in the meantime, gonna go ahead and try to give this a bit of a recovery job here, because oh my goodness, yeah, this jointed area here is, you can see it's already wrinkling out the leather. It's really dry. So, and this one had a little bit of that, but I think I'm gonna use this kiwi shoe polish. That's all you need. And all right, so let's open that up. I'm just gonna put that on this. Now, I just use paper towels to apply it. I like to use the softest paper towel I can get, or more quilted, whatever you want to call it. If you can't, to polish one of these sheaths, one recommendation is, if you can remove this piece of leather right here for the belt loop, please do so. If you can't, that's okay too. I've been able to do it without it, but it does kind of help to do so. But it looks like this actually might be glued on, so I'm not going to be able to actually get this out. Yeah, it looks glued on. It's like solided up right there, and that's fine. Okay, so just run this down a little bit. Make sure that you don't get any dust or stuff out of it. Get any dust or anything that won't let the polish adhere off right away. Okay. So, very simple. Be generous. Be very, very generous about it. Grab as much polish as you can. And just have at it. I like to go in just up and down motion. Start with a light coat. Don't worry if the brass gets stained. Like, see, I'm already kind of staining the brass a little bit. You could always just wipe that off. I have Brasso. I can always also just touch it up with the Brasso a little bit. I'm not going to do too much with this. This is, again, a Christmas present. I don't want it out in that condition. If I can improve it, why not? So, now what I do is, when I go for the back part right here where the seam is, I kind of just pinch it a little bit, add some extra polish, and just go down, up, and just to those little crevices where it starts to open up, just rub the polish in, and any excess I just rub on the actual leather of the sheath. But okay, let's go for some more. But again, guys, if you have any questions or anything knife related, I guess now would be the time to start asking. Doesn't have to be so much Christmas related. It can be anything else. Let's see. Already with some of the polish, it's already starting to shine just a little bit. Just fold this paper up. The back part where the seam is where you're going to do most of your work. Again, here, because it's where that line is, and it's where it's wanting to kind of just stretch and break apart. Just be very generous with the polish. This stuff isn't expensive. It's shoe polish. You can get it for fucking $2 and change at Walmart. Roll of paper towels is $1 and something. So, with less than $10 in supplies, I have everything I need to maintain my knives. Okay. Stuff like sharpening goes. I picked this up for about $7 on Amazon. Has 400 grit on one side, 600 on the other. That'll do for most knives. That really will. It'll even do for your kitchen knives at home. So if you're just looking for something to sharpen your kitchen knives, that's perfect. They sell something similar to that in Walmart for camping, in the camping section, but you're going to pay more than twice the amount for it. It's like $15.99 for this yellow, gray, and orange sharpener at Walmart. And again, you're just rubbing the shoe polish all over it in an up and down motion, keeping it consistent. There's little pits in there. I'm starting to fill them up. And again, with that line where the leather is, sewn up together, that's where you just want to be the most generous and apply thick amounts of it on there. Hey Roger, how's it going, man? Mr. Blades. Oh no, I'm not Mr. Blades, man. There's a lot of people who are better experts at knives than I do. I just know what I like. I know the knives that I like. A lot of knives that I don't know about. Just like there's a lot of guns that I don't know about. Again, I sold them for 4 years. I needed to know about them. It's funny because when I started selling the knives, I was into knives. I wasn't that deep into knives. more into the airsoft guns, and as I started getting into the whole tactical thing and survival thing, then obviously I got into the knives because in a survival situation, your knife is going to be used quite a bit, you know, especially if it's the only big major tool you got. Uh, and then I used to be ignorant too about knives. I used to think that one knife can do everything, or that two knives can do everything, and I got older and I realized, well, no, they can't. That's why there's different knives out there. There's a butter knife, there's a steak knife, there's a skinning knife, there's a peeling knife, there's a filleting knife. There are reasons why there are so many different knives in the world. And honestly, unlike most things, it actually has nothing to do with marketing. It just has to do with how people use them and how people evolved. Okay, so that's starting to look a lot nicer. Let me just touch this up a little bit. I'm going to show you guys the results here. The pits have mostly disappeared. That line in the back, those lines in the back are starting to fade just a little. Look at that. Just a little bit of polish. Already made that back look a lot better than it came with. You see the top right here, I have not polished right here. This right here I've actually polished. So it's not as glossy as it was, but the leather looks a lot more smoother. Okay, so just gonna go ahead and keep just rubbing it in. Again, this had a little bit of pores in it. I'm just gonna use those pores to my advantage and just rub and rub and rub a little bit of this in as much as I can. Like that line is already kind of sealing up, so I'll maybe do another glop right there, and and then that. And then obviously the person that I give this to, I'm gonna, I'll let them know that, hey, if you want to take care of that leather sheath, you got to do X, Y, Z. But I do have to find out how to deal with the buffalo horn handles, because I don't know. So I think Rick mentioned, Rick, did you say vinegar or conditioner? I think you said. No, yeah, I think Rick said conditioner for the horn handle. So, okay, I'm pretty much done with this section right here. Hair conditioner. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and hit this top part right here. Now I have to admit, when people told me that buffalo horn is keratin, so it makes sense. Oh, okay. Uh, oh man, I didn't believe somebody when they told me that they use shoe polish to maintain their leather sheaths for their knives, but it does work. It actually works. Now, fortunately, the top section doesn't need a lot. It was just that real back area right there that was having most of the issues. I mean, I have got a little bit of wrinkling right here, but I think what kind of swords did you used to collect? Who was that? I think it was Roger. Yeah, it was Roger. Okay. What swords did you used to have, man? I used to collect them too. But I collected movie swords. Like I had a few of the Lord of the Rings swords. I used to have that one. You guys remember the first Hellboy movie? That Tonfa sword blade. That one dude with the clicking thing with all the clockwork used. I had that. That was a beautiful thing. Piece of junk though. It was all stainless steel, poorly constructed. More of a prop than anything. 15th century Ren Fair. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, you go for more of the medieval stuff. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, there's not a lot of people who collect swords anymore. Unfortunately, um, which is a shame. Because only lately has there actually been decent enough companies to make decent modern swords. But again, if it's not popular, why are they going to make it? All right, now this will also tell me if this is actual real leather or not. But I actually do think this is leather. Oh yeah, this is leather. I don't have to worry about this not being leather. And clean that up a little better. It's starting to look a lot nicer. Give it a nice little light pass around top to bottom here. A little more back here. All right. So, let me just clean the brass up. Okay. Oh, you were a knight at the Ren Fair. Oh, that's pretty cool. Does that even pay? Or is that more of a, like a hobby thing? Because I heard it's more of a hobby thing. Okay. Alright, well, there's the sheath, guys. Polished her up a bit. Looks a lot better than it did earlier. Looks cleaner. I don't have any real sunlight right now, and it's not that warm today. So unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to teach the person I'm giving this to do this again. So I'm just gonna give it this initial one, you know, just out of kindness, and then they can go from there. I was pretty generous about leaving some extra polish right there on that line in the back. I am just gonna let it sit right now for a minute. Hopefully it'll dry for a little while. But man, I gotta say, I am a little jealous of who I am giving this knife to. I kind of am, because look at this thing, guys. This thing is a fucking beauty, and this thing is not as big as my 3-Chira. Look, here's the 3-Chira. Here's the military issue kukri. So it's only off by about 1.5 inches, but feels nice. It feels nice. It just feels, you know, let's see. It feels maybe a few ounces lighter, just from the shortness of the blade. But this blade is the best, has the best polish job out of all the ones that I've got. GK & Co. has not disappointed me, guys, and I'll admit I was really nervous about receiving this. I was kind of scared that I was going to have to send it back for one reason or another, but I didn't. This one scared the Exker Kukri House kind of scared me from buying more Nepalese kukris. I was actually thinking maybe I should just get my nephew, you know, the K-Bar kukri, but he likes the he likes my 3 Chira, and he likes the traditional style looking kukris more than he does the modern ones. So, you know, kind of had to go for it. So let me go ahead and this is the one that I used for the 3 Chira. Okay, how much choice for which one, man? For this one? Well, this one's mine. This is my 3 Chira. This one, if you go right now on Amazon and type 3 Chira, Chirra Kukri, Kukri, they are on sale for $63 right now for the kukri. The tantos are 33 and change. Now, when I got it, it was like $30 and change, but they went back up. So you can get it for like $30 and change. Tanto's actually really good, man. Yeah, you should. Now, the best tanto that Cold Steel makes is the Sign Master series tantos, but those are pricey. Those start at about, I think the smallest one goes for $240. The next one, the one you can get that's a little more affordable, is the Recon 1 tanto. Now that would be a nice one. You can get the I think it's the SK5 steel version of the Recon tanto for $50 right now on Amazon, or like $53, somewhere along those lines. The steel's a little better on that one. The blade is actually longer. Best thing I bought from was the Bushman. Yeah. Bushman's really good. Now, the reason I went with this one for the nephew is because, you know, it has that little part right here on the blade where there's no edge on it. I like that for camping because I'm going to also eventually give him a Ferris rod, because I found a company on Amazon that for $15 they'll send you 2 6-inch long, half-inch thick Ferris rods for making fires. So that little notch right there is perfect for, you know, scraping the Ferris rod to make sparks. That's one of the reasons that I also got into the Afghan style kukris, is because the Afghan style kukris don't have that little M notch on there. They just have that little flat bar. So you can actually tell from some of the little stains on it. I've used it to scratch on the Ferris rod to spark it and to test making fires. So that is a pretty cool thing about it. Got 10 more on it. Yeah. The Ferris rod, the rods themselves are way better than going for the old school magnesium fire starters. I mean, I know you can get the old school magnesium fire starters for about $3 right now, 99 cents, depending on like if you go to a cheap army surplus store. But remember, with the magnesium rod, you have to scrape off one part and then you have to strike with the other, so that takes up more time. You don't need that scrape material, the magnesium, to start the fire anymore. You gotta, my fire tinder is the easiest one to make, and I hate the scrap and pray. Yeah. My fire tinder is actually the easiest one to make, and that is basically cotton balls and petroleum jelly. Anybody can make that. It's a basic trip to Walmart, $4 in materials, and you've got maybe a Ziploc bag, and you can make plenty of fire starting material. And I've actually tested it with the Ferris rod to see if it'll catch a spark. It'll catch the spark. Lint is also a good option, especially dryer lint. Another one, actually a great one that a lot of people won't know, you don't even need a Ferris rod. You're not going to need matches or anything. Steel wool and a 9-volt battery. Yeah. You take the 9-volt battery, you take a piece of steel wool, and you just rub them together. And as you rub them together, the steel wool will actually start to catch heat and ember up and kind of fall apart. And that can actually set up fire real quick. All right, so here's the sheath to the Big 3 Chirra. I'm going to go ahead and just give this a simple coating. Now, mine was not as bad in the back line here as the one that I just got for that I'm giving away as a Christmas present. But it's actually recovered pretty nicely with the polish. Now, since I don't need that much, whoa, too much. Just move this around just a little bit. There we go. And then again, just as I was doing with the other one, you just apply a coating gently. Now this one's already had several coatings put on it, so I'm just going to do the one on this. Thanks, Voodoo, but I'm not that awesome, man. There's nothing awesome about this. It's just doing what you can do. Then touch up this back area here. Touch up this little area where I have my finger. And then the only thing I'll do is I'll take a little thick dab, and then on that line, and just pinch it a little bit, and then just go up and down on that line. Alright. Now, I will do the top part. Okay, I see what you're talking about, man. Oh, thank you. And then I will just lightly rub again, just a little polish. Yeah, man, this is regular kiwi shoe polish. It works. I've been doing it on this one for about almost 3 months now. Works just fine. I noticed that it actually does help protect the leather a little bit. I'll tell you right now a little bit about the other knife, the other kukri I have, the smaller one, the X-Gurkha Kukri House model. That one I used kiwi conditioning oil. See the color right here? This is the color that the sheath was, but it was also really dry, and the back here was really cracked up, even much worse than that one, than the other one I just showed. And I ended up rubbing some of that on it, and it actually gave the leather some life. But that's also how I found out that this leather piece back here is not actual leather, or if it is, it's a really, actually no. I can tell it's not leather. Look, it's already coming apart right here. The glue that they stuck. This is pleather. So, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you right now, Voodoo. Out of all the ones to avoid, X-Gurkha Kukri House, or EGKH, if you're looking at Nepalese kukris, fuck them, dude. Avoid them at all costs. I've had nothing but problems with that knife to get it to where I have it now, and I will make a separate video on that as a subject to show you guys all the problems that they have. And I'm not the only one apparently that's been having a problem with them. I bought this one here because the Big Brother, the original size one, was on sale for $60, and these guys were $50. I already had the 3 Chira, so I said, well, why do I need an 11-inch blade? I'll get the 8-inch blade model. But the edge was ground down wrong. The sheath was shit. It came, you know, just bubble wrapped. Some people are actually telling me that that's not even a real X-Gurkha Kukri House knife. Some people are actually telling me that it might be a knockoff. What do we do care-wise for the Schambach? Nothing. I've done nothing to care for that Schambach. I've actually abused the hell out of that Schambach for the almost 4 years that I've been carrying it now. I started carrying that Schambach in December of 2014. Now, that was a 56-inch length Schambach, but being an idiot, I was starting to hit trees and concrete with it, and I basically became a 50-inch Schambach, because I ended up, you know, hitting something hard that had a concrete behind it, and then it was at an edge, so it chopped about 6 inches length of the actual Schambach. But I was able to use the old Schambach the piece of the Schambach that fell off, melt it, and cap off the end of the shambach to recover it. The biggest kukri you can buy, this company that makes these, the GK & Co, the ones that I like, they do make these, but they actually make them, they're more expensive. There is a 15-inch blade version of this type for $90 right now. There are kukri swords that you can get. They start at about a bill 30, a bill 50, and they go as far as like $280. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about the kukri swords. There's a guy here on YouTube called Scalagrin. I think I'm mentioning that right. Scalagrim or Scalagrin, something like that. His YouTube channel is all about swords and knives and dueling and things like that. He has one called the Kumar. So if you look up the video, those are made by, I think his was made by Himalayan Imports. But the GK & Co makes something similar to it. Again, they are not cheap, but from what I hear, they're very good blades. Now, the only issue I have is I don't know. There's some saying that they're meant as ceremonial blades. They're not meant as actual battle blades. Because if you look at the history of the Gurkha warrior, the Gurkhas had swords, but their swords differed from, they do not look the same as a kukri. So I don't know exactly the origin of where those long kukris came from. They say, many people say it's a religious thing. It's like a ceremonial blade. But they do work. So, okay, just about to finish here with this one. Alright, that's all done. Put the blade back in there. Do I carry a flashlight? Yes, I do. You always carry a flashlight. Doesn't matter if it's powerful or not. If it's powerful, better. If it strobes, best. The strobing flashlight you can use for self-defense. Okay. Alright, this sheath has had a little bit of time. Looks like it's starting to kind of grab onto the polish, but it still needs a little help. I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time. And I think in like 20 minutes, I'm probably going to call it a day for the stream, guys. I've been streaming for about an hour and 13 minutes, so probably about the hour and a half mark, I'll call it. My flashlight is actually I think it's the Coast brand. It's the brand that they're selling right now on sale at Home Depot. They're the 440 lumen flashlights. They have a special going on. They're two for $20. Actually, you know what? I might do that some either tomorrow or Monday. Go to Home Depot during the holidays. Home Depot starts selling things like flashlights, tools, bits, things like that, near their exit counters, and you get good deals on stuff like flashlights. The 440 lumen double flashlight kit for $20 wasn't a bad deal. I carry one on my person for every day, and then the other one stays in my emergency pack. So, and I always have batteries. Now, the only thing that would make them better is if they strobed. Because if they strobed, they would be great for using in a self-defense situation. And you can get stronger ones at Home Depot. I was there day before yesterday. Now, the one I bought is a year old now, but they still sell them. They also sell a Duracell flashlight pack. It's 2 flashlights. I think it's a 350 lumen and a 700 lumen flashlight for $20. The 700 lumen flashlight's a little big though. It's not as big as a full mag light, but it's almost the size of a mini mag light. So again, it will depend what kind of flashlight you're willing to carry on you. But it's 700 lumens. No, it doesn't strobe. But at 700 lumens, even if it doesn't strobe, you can weaponize that light. Let's see. Back here. Oh, you know what? Actually, Voodoo Ninja, are you still on here? If you want to check out a kukri, the sword, it's not exactly a sword, but you already have the cold steel machete. There is there's three different versions of the cold steel machete. There's the Royal, the Royal Magnum. Well, there's four. There's the regular, the plus, the Royal, and the Royal Magnum. Now the Royal Magnum has, I think, a 16 or 18-inch blade on that. Uh, so I mean, if you can't afford one of those $100 and something kukri swords from Nepal, that's about as close as you're gonna get, because the kukri swords from Nepal are not long swords. I think the longest one's only 22 inches long in blade. So, and the handles are still small. They're about 4.5 inches. So the Magnum kukri might be your best bet, and I think you could actually get one for like less than $30. Okay, so I'm paying close attention to the back on this sheath. This is the newest one. That's where the back area, that seam, was where it had the most wrinkles, the most imperfections. So it is add a little extra coating there. Aside from that, this is going to be pretty much ready to go. I will put the blade back in its sheath. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. Oh, let's clean that brass up. Well, actually, I'm probably going to clean that brass up with some Brasso. Oh no, it's coming off. A little spit shine ain't gonna hurt nobody. Okay, well, actually, I have Brasso right here. Excuse me, guys. Use some Brasso to clean the brass accents on it. Whoa. Forgot to shake it. Shake well before use, guys. There you go. How's it going? Saved by Jesus. Oh, my goodness. I just noticed something that I didn't notice before. And this is what I talk about when I say imperfections, guys. Okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought. It's not a crack. But, let me show you guys here. Look at this. Let me see. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Why aren't you zooming, camera? Okay. Well, if you guys can see it, there is a line right there. See that line right there? Thought it was a crack for a second. No, it looks like somebody took a tool and might have accidentally scratched a little bit of it right there. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I don't think that the person I'm giving to is going to make a big deal about it. They know, they've already seen mine, so they kind of already know what they're getting themselves into. But I will clean it up nonetheless to make it as presentable as possible. I'm going to use little bits of this at once because I'm not trying to... I don't think it'll ruin the leather, but I'm not trying to take a chance after I just finished polishing it. So, just doing it in little taps. There. Okay, there we go. Alright, polished it up. Nice and ready. Okay. Where's my trash bin? Ah, there's no trash bin here. Fuck. Okay. Alright. Move the cloth here. Yeah, that is just such a pretty fucking knife, guys. I gotta order one for me. That's it. I'm jelly. I'm fucking jealous. I'm gonna order one of these for myself. Just take a little bit of this here. I'm not gonna try to really over polish, but just kind of clean it up a little bit. Shined it up a little bit. Made it a little shinier. And some here on the brass here. Yes, a little brass goes a long way. Alright. So, because the blade has a bunch of oil in it, I'm not going to wipe out the oil. Why? Well, it's a gift. So it's going back in its box. I just wanted to touch it up and clean it and make sure that it was nice enough for the person it's going to. But now that it's, you know, we know what it is, we know that it's good, and we know that it's cleaned up, I need to close it up. So I'm just going to wrap it back in the plastic it was in. Alright. Okay. Not the perfect wrap, but wrapped it nonetheless. Okay. Then came in a nice sized white box. Looks like the point was digging into it though. And you have any other walking stick types besides the Shamba? No, I don't. I have seen some of their other walking sticks of Cold Steel. The most interesting one for me right now is the Sylvester Stallone. I think it was the Sylvester Stallone one, or Steven Seagal. They make one for him. But fuck, what was the big but? But it's like, all right, yeah, but it's like $70 for a polypropylene stick. So if I don't know about spending that kind of money for a walking stick like that. You know, at that point, I can get their polypropylene Boken for about $20. I can use it as a walking stick. It's thicker. It'll beat the shit out of somebody, and at least with the Cold Steel Bokens, I know they're indestructible because where I used to work at, where we sold them, we fucking took a U-Haul truck and ran one over 4 times. We just bent it. We never broke it. Alright, so now another thing too, guys, if you ever decide to get a kukri knife from GK & Co., here's some ways that you actually know that it is legitimately from GK & Co. It will come with a pamphlet, either one like this or a white pamphlet, but it'll still say GK & Co. on it. Usually when you open the pamphlet, it will have some information about the company, about the Gurkhas, or the Gurkha warriors, which are the warriors that will fight for Britain that were issued these knives, and some maintenance advice and things like that. You can also, when you look at the back section, you can take a look at some of the other products that they make. If you get that Boken, can you please make a video? Yeah, I could. It's not on my list to get it anytime soon, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to have that one of those Bokens, to be honest with you. So now here's also a letter that you get. Now sometimes you don't get the letter, so as long as you have the pamphlet, you know you're still safe. But if you've gotten both, you can be rest at ease that you have an official GK & Co. knife and not an imitation or knockoff. Thanks, Waterson. They really are, and that's that's the main reason why I collect them, because they are very. The kukri design is a great knife. I love them. Just overall, really great knife. Now, let me grab the sheath. Now again, we're gonna put the kami or kama and the chakma back in their respective sides. Like how low these sink on these, on the GK and Kos. On the EGKHs, they stand up pretty high. They don't go any further down. Alright, so, going to wrap this up a little more. Okay. The sheath just goes back in the box, so I don't want to wrap the sheath in the plastic because some of it has a little bit of oil on it, and then I just put the polish on. Hopefully it doesn't have any bad interaction. But that's the box that comes in. Came in obviously bigger box because it came with this and the little sharpening whetstone that I got. Well, let's see. It's about 1 hour 27 minutes. I'll do it for another 3 minutes and then I'm gonna call it a day. So let's recap on pretty much any of the Christmas stuff that I talked about regarding knives. Number one, look at price point. The most expensive knife isn't always going to be the best knife. However, the cheapest knife is usually the cheapest, cheapest piece of junk. Two, look at the quality of metals, do your homework, and if you can't do your homework yourself, find somebody who knows about the quality of the metals. Try to stay away from the 420 stainless steels, and mostly try to stay away from the stainless steels that are not AUS 8 or any of the really high-end stainlesses that are made like in Japan or by a high-end company. 440 stainless, 440C stainless is okay if you are going to use it with a knife that has a 6 or 5.5 inch blade below. The problem with 440 stainless is that yes, it can hold an edge better than 420 stainless. It has the anti-rust capabilities of the 420 stainless. However, it's not as structurally strong as high carbon steel or any of the other major steels. So when you get a blade bigger than 6 inches, as I have it understood, the 440 stainless, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Three, I guess it would be a third or the fourth. Excuse me. Country of origin. Pakistan, stay the fuck away from. India, be very wary about. Indonesia and Philippines, be very wary about. Not the best knives that come out there. Really not. Pakistan, I can pretty much guarantee you with all my heart that will be the worst knife you can probably get out to buy. Yeah, Robert, I'm gonna step out. I've got less than a minute left. Yeah, that's breathing that in. Just started kind of to get to me. So what was I saying? Yeah. So 440 stainless is fine. 4116 Krupp stainless is good. High carbon is the best. However, just remember that when you're deciding on the steels, stick with the stainlesses and the alloy mix steels for people who don't have experience with knives. Carbon steels are great for people who do have experience with knives. You can give somebody who doesn't know about knives a carbon steel knife. Just if it's coated, you're gonna save them a lot more time and the scary sight of seeing a rusted blade. Aside from that, that would be pretty much it, guys. And I'm at the 1 hour and a half mark. Guys, thanks for watching. I'm glad most of you stuck on to the end. If you guys have any questions regarding knives or as far as gift giving and whatnot, please leave your questions in the comment section. Is it 20-degree angle? Okay, that's about edges. that would depend on the knife. Certain knives have different edges and grinds. That would be something that would be good to talk about in another video, though. But again, guys, if you guys have any general questions, go ahead and just send me a message in the comments section. If you guys like the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Be probably doing another video. I'm going to be ordering some more knives. I'm not done. These were just the initial knives that I got. First few presents that I'm wrapping up. I actually have a cold steel machete sitting somewhere in my room, wrapped up. I'm actually shipping that out to England with some Day of the Dead candles as a gift for somebody out in England. As another content creator, guy's name's Irate Bear, also goes by Irate Alex. Really cool guy. I would suggest checking out his videos. He has a much bigger sub count than I do, and he's a lot more entertaining than I do, even though the guy kind of seems to knock himself down a little too much on the like. But guys, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and I hope that everybody has a great day, and stay away from smoke and fires. Have a good one, guys.